Greetings, Vault Hunters, all across the 6 galaxies. Welcome to the Bordercast. We are live once again, finally, at our usual time, Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. I'm Mitsu.
And I'm Tessichka, coming to you every week to break down all things Borderlands.
The takedown we have long awaited is finally here. Guardian Takedown has finally arrived, and we are hoping that you are all enjoying it as much as we certainly have. Some really strong and new guns have finally hit the scene, as well as new mechanics never before showcased in a Borderlands game.
It's been a super busy week with Guardian Takedown launching. Mitsu and I decided we needed a special guest to come help us talk about it. So with us today is a very special guest from the Borderlands show, Fran Mirabella. Hi, Fran.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for having me. Zane Gang in the house today.
Hashtag Zane Gang. That's
gotta
awesome.
represent.
I will be joining Zane Gang in the very near future. My friend Triple G, who is the next guest on Ultimate Vault Hunter, our sister show, convinced me during filming. You guys will get to check that out, not this coming Thursday, but next Thursday. So stay tuned for that. It'll be pretty cool. 4 p.m. Eastern, just like our show.
Yes. The man knows how to put together a really good Zane build. But for now, a few interesting points. Of course, everybody knows Guardian Takedown is out now. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. I know that there are a couple nagging issues. We'll talk about that a little bit later as we break the entire thing down with you guys. There aren't new events happening at the moment, and we haven't really heard any word about anything, but I'm very hopeful that there will be a few in the future because I always enjoy when those events come down. Borderlands Legendary Collection is out right now for the Switch. It is a lot of fun. Actually, if you're just hanging out, maybe you're out on the porch enjoying some nice summer breeze, maybe eating some edamame. Maybe I did this earlier. This is actually a thing that I did. And played a little bit of Borderlands while I was waiting for the show. DLC 3, Bounty of Blood. 1 week away.
Isn't that crazy? It's so soon. It's so soon. I feel like everything has come so quickly. It's amazing.
It's been a wild week, a wild month. And just to kind of recap a little bit, what have you been doing this past week in Borderlands? How have you been enjoying the game?
Ooh,
you cut out briefly there, but
we're not sure who you're asking, friend.
Yes,
it's all right. It cut out the name of the person. I think Tess and I were looking at each other like, bet it's me. So yeah, I mostly just focused on the Guardian Takedown. You know, I obviously prepared in cartels. I got some awesome help from the community as well, getting some last minute runs done for some Mayhem 10 gear. So obviously OPQ was what I was chasing to make sure I had a really good one. And at the time, yellow cake, of course, because who didn't want a piece of that yellow cake? But that, you know, they've adjusted it slightly that I'm like, all right, I've got it if I need it. But anyway, so I did that. And then, you know, going in obviously with Guardian Takedown out, I pretty much just focused on that, putting together a team. And for me, for people who don't know, you know, how I play the game or what I do. But yeah, on the official Borderlands show. So I tend to deliver the news, give the opinion, round it out that way. I am not usually your top level, most intelligent Mayhem 10 player. Of course, I love playing that way, but there is a big time investment making sure you get all those roles and stuff. So anyway, the point I'm driving at is I really just wanted to check out the new approach to Takedown because I feel like they made some changes and just focus on enjoying it. We do know, and I'm sure we'll get into it, with the enemy health is pretty high, so it did take a bit of time, and I just played on like normal mode and enjoyed it that way.
Cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Did you get a chance to play with any of the other streamers in the community, or was it just some really cool people who happened to come in and just hang out with you for a little while?
I haven't had the chance yet. No, I would love to play with you guys and other folks from the community. You see Killer Sixes in the chat right now. It'd be awesome. I play on PC, by the way.
Same.
But yeah, I got lucky. Some folks from my community, and then folks, you know, that just I play other games with.
Very cool.
Oh, nice.
Very cool. Yeah, I played it mostly solo. I can definitely see where people are coming from, but I haven't gone past Mayhem 4. I just beat it Mayhem 4 yesterday, and it was okay. It was doable. Interestingly enough, I only used one gun. Like it seemed to me that any other gun just wasn't going to work, and that gun was the OPQ. It was a really amazing 390 OPQ that Liz actually gave me, another streamer friend of ours who's on the team and who hosts Ultimate Vault Hunter. But yeah, so that gun definitely carried me through on Mayhem 1 a couple times, and then on Mayhem 4. And I I want to try Mayhem 6. I'm definitely not brave enough to try beyond Mayhem 6 until there are changes. We'll see.
Yeah, it's funny because like the changes are coming, and so I think it'd be interesting how most of the community is falling right now. But it's like I sort of feel that way once they announced that it's going to be changed. Like that's going to be the permanent state to come, at least for some period of time. And so part of me, I'm just kind of waiting on that instead of right now spending a lot of time in there with the way that it is. But I mean, I do enjoy playing it. How it is, it's really a beautiful location. But
yeah, oh my
it's
gosh.
interesting though. You know, right when they announced that changes are coming. You kind of, at least me, I'm like, I'll probably wait mostly till they make those changes, and we're still waiting for the official timing of that.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm sure it's coming soon. But yeah, I mean, my whole thinking of starting it at Mayhem 1 was I didn't want to go in and get stuck. And honestly, I think regardless of any changes they made, like if I personally had jumped into just Mayhem 10, it would have taken me so long to get to the end that I would have been tired and I may not have gotten to the end. Like I think I'll still struggle at Mayhem 10 even after they make changes just because I'm not that OP of a player. I think I can do it, but I think it'll still be a challenge, right? Which is the point of Mayhem 10. So originally going into it, I just wanted to try it and see what it was all about. I wanted to enjoy the scenery. Like I love how gorgeous this game is. I think the incredible graphics and the incredible gunplay and movement and music overall is just so far beyond any other game. And this particular activity just showcases that to me, like the broken apart planet and the crazy space in the background and all of the like sparkly plants and all the little enemies and just everything. It's so beautiful. Like it's eye candy. And one thing that I also really, really liked about it that I don't like about Molly One Takedown and that I think they did a much better job on with this is the lead up to that final boss. One thing I noticed that used to happen to me all the time with Molly One Takedown when I would do it is that I would slog through that bridge on the way to Wotan, and then I would get to Wotan and I'd be tired from the bridge, tired from like focusing so hard to get through the bridge, and then I'd like make a stupid mistake on Wotan and die, and then I'd have to do the whole bridge all over again, and it's such a slog because it's all like one kind of similar space, and I don't know, it's just so many enemies in this one space, and it's such a slog to me that I would struggle and I wouldn't have the motivation to redo it again. Now, with this new takedown, it feels completely different. Like if I die at the final boss or right before I get to the final boss or just en route to the final boss from the second boss, I'm kind of like, okay, no big deal. I'll just keep doing it again. And it's really fun because the locations change. Like there's different mechanics. There's a bunch of different things en route to that final boss, on to the first one and to the second boss. And I love that. I love that they change it up, that it's not like one slog through one location. It's totally different and there's mechanics and stuff like that that made it so much better. I forgot that I wasn't mad that I died. I was like, oh, I'll just keep playing. It's fine. So that was really nice in my opinion.
There was a lot that went on the past couple of days. I had the pleasure of I did the same thing, sort of what you did. I started at Mayhem 0, and over the past couple days on my streams, I have worked my way up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then as of a couple hours ago, I soloed it on Mayhem 6. I leaned a little heavy on the Plague Bearer to do so, but you do what you gotta in desperate times to make sure that it actually gets done. There were a couple segments that were really enjoyable. There were a couple segments that got a little bit frustrating. I figured out a really cool mechanic that maybe we can talk about in a little bit about how to lessen the abilities of boop. Booping is something like booping is when you get smacked and you get knocked backwards. And a lot of people have been complaining right now that they get knocked backwards and fly off. They get knocked backwards and maybe they lose the ability to res a teammate. And I think I learned why that happens. And basically, however fast your max move speed is determines how far you fly when you get booped. So if you're playing Zane and your move speed is supreme sonic, like supersonic speed, then when you get booped, you're going to fly a lot further than if you pull out the bipod when you're using the Monarch and your move speed gets like cut in half, if not lower. So what I've been doing now is I grab my Monarch when I know I'm going to get booped like by Anathema, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later.
Yep.
I bipod it, and then I don't fly anywhere. I can just put my back to a wall, stand in a corner, and then when I know that I'm going to get the knockback, boop, fine. And then you can just use the Monarch to beat him because he's easy to kill once you have it because the Monarch's a really good gun.
So I was wondering like what was going on because I've heard about this overwhelming knockback all over the place in streams and places, and I did not experience it myself, like barely at all. And I am definitely the type, like I fell, especially the first time that I was playing through this on Mayhem 1, I fell off the edge of the world like 5 or 6 times in my first run, probably more than that, honestly. And none of them were because of boops. All of them were because I am a doofus and I back up off the edge of the world and go, oops, because I just do that. Yeah, I'm dumb. But anyway,
stream chat. You can blame it on that. You're like, wow, I was reading chat. That's
I
what
really love
Oops.
gravity. No. Yeah, gravity is the ultimate boss for me. But I wasn't ever booped by an enemy. It was literally just me backing up or like backing to the side or like trying to dodge and not realizing where I was going. It was never an enemy. What?
Who do you play as again?
Amara.
Oh, okay. So you're moving around pretty fast.
Well,
though.
but I don't play a super speedy Amara. And especially so like I used to play a speedier Amara. Wow. Oh.
May I?
Yeah, go for it. We have breaking news.
Mitsu's bursting.
Breaking friggin' news. Oh, breaking news for everybody watching the show. We literally just got word that we are allowed to announce this right the heck now. Everybody, the health fix or the the hot fix for the health is live.
Right now.
What? Hey.
Right now, while we're talking, right
go,
now.
Everybody, it was nice being on the show. I'll catch you later.
Yeah, we're gonna go play now.
We're gonna go play the game.
Mayhem 10, 3 of us, Killer 6, maybe jump in later.
Is live right now. Yeah, Borderlands actually just tweeted about it as well.
Very cool.
Confirmed. This update will significantly reduce enemy mob health at Takedown at the Guardian Breach. That is confirmed right here, right now. You heard it first on the Bordercast.
Yeah, that's so
It's almost like they knew that we were streaming.
Yeah, very cool. Now I'm not scared. I'm less scared of trying it on Mayhem 10.
Yes.
Slightly less. I'll still probably fall off the edge.
That's awesome.
That is very awesome.
That's really cool. That's gonna change a lot of conversations that we might have.
Yeah.
In the near future significantly too. That's a healthy number or whatever it is.
Yeah. They say live by 2 p.m. Pacific time, right? That's what I'm seeing.
Okay. Yeah, they said live by 2 p.m. But
moments away.
So it's
In no way was this planned.
You liar.
It was a genuine surprise to everybody here. I think we were in the pre-show offline, and this was not a topic. So we were like,
it's not live yet, right? No, it's not live yet because we'd be playing it. That's so cool. Oh my god, so cool.
Yeah, so that's really cool that managed to come down. So that's going to make this a very interesting conversation that we're going to have going forwards. Because let's just jump right into it now that we've basically opened this can of worms. Guardian Takedown is out. The Guardians have returned in spectacular fashion, bringing forth perhaps some of the most difficult Borderlands content to date, as we've just talked about. So I wanted to break this down first because I know the two of you especially are really big on aesthetic and feel. I wanted to approach it. What do you guys think of the look of the Guardian Takedown so far?
I love it. I talked about it a little bit, but what do you think, Fran?
Oh yeah, I mean, Mitsu nailed it. I'm a fan of the aesthetics, the sounds. You know, that's why I love Cartel so much. Not only was it a cool location, but it sounded awesome. And actually, all the Guardian themed stuff in Borderlands 3 is some of my favorite. So I love, the color palette is awesome. You know, the promotional art, I actually think gives away some of what you actually get the feel on the island, the vibe of these like hot pinks, hot blues, you know, all mixing together in this sort of crystal kind of feeling Guardian, blown out planet. But I really love the location. Yeah, it's really pretty. It's not that I don't call it the muddier real life vibe. I think you need some of that in the game too, but I definitely prefer the fantasy of this setting. And I'm really glad they leaned in that direction for this one.
Yeah, it's very high fantasy based out of the Necro DeFeo layout.
Exactly.
You feel like it looks a lot like what you were doing as you were going towards, hanging I guess what is it called? The machine. It has a lot of echoes of what it was when you were trying to stop, like reactivate the machine so you could lock up the Destroyer of Worlds again and like reseal the vault.
Yes,
There's a lot of thematic elements that because there's a lot of thematic elements in that. I love the color scheme of it, but I'm a sucker for brown or for blues and oranges just because they're very complementary colors and they catch the eye. But there's also a lot of like there's vines, there's a lot of Necrotafeo elements there, returning enemies.
But yeah, like when you not only the overall location, but then the boss rooms too. I just like Guardian, boss pits. Again, those are some of my favorites so far in Borderlands 3, and so to see that come back for this, I was super happy with that choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gorgeous, and I love how the scenery changes throughout. Like it's not just one kind of path. It feels less linear. Like it is still kind of linear because that's just the nature of these kinds of things, but it doesn't feel linear because the locations change. It's like you're outside in this crazy broken apart like spacey place, and then you're inside and there's platforms and you have to jump down through the thing, and then like you have to do these other platforms, and it's like several sections that you're going through, and I love that. And it doesn't feel nearly as enclosed as some of the arena like things that we've done in the past. It feels very open. Like the scale and the breadth of it feels very huge to me, which is awesome. I love that feeling. Definitely aesthetically, I think it's incredible. Like I liked the aesthetics of Molly One Takedown a lot also. But I really like this one a lot. They did an amazing job.
Yeah. The overall look of it was amazing. The general aesthetic of having a blown out planet in the background was so cool. I loved kind of just like drifting down and looking at it. There's a game that it's in the back of my mind. I can't remember what it compares to. Oh, you know what it is? I'm thinking of Unreal Tournament. Way back in the day, Facing Worlds. It feels a little Facing Worldsy when you're kind of just looking at Earth from these two asteroids. You're looking at Minos Prime from this this Guardian Temple that literally looks like smashed through this planet. Like they just strapped like hyperjets to the back of it and just like boom, and then blew out the planet completely.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
it's pretty incredible. I love the enemies too. Like I like seeing more of the Guardians. I do feel like we got to spend a fair amount of time on Necrotafeo, but I love seeing more of that. I love seeing more of that kind of enemy. They're so interesting in general. They're so like intriguing to me, and the design of them. I want to know more. I want more like lore tidbits about them, but just in general, seeing them and seeing all the different designs of all the different enemies and seeing them coming at you and like just jumping in your face is terrifying and also glorious. And the bosses are really, really, really cool. I love the way they move across their respective sections of map. It's really neat how that works.
I'm a little frustrated only because this felt like a really good opportunity to expand on the lore of the Guardians and kind of explain what they're doing and why they're doing it. Like, why did they target Minos Prime? Martyr seems like he was very irritated at us for opening the vaults, speaking in his cryptic riddles that he was talking through to us as we were moving through the temple. So did he know we were going to be there and respond to this particular situation? Like, what led to all of these plot points that caused the Guardians to get so irate that they chose Minos Prime of all places, just blast it apart? So there's a lot of like lingering questions there. I was kind of hoping for some answers. Maybe the cryptic riddles kind of give them away. I don't know. I'm not smart enough. Somebody out there in TV land or radio land might be able to figure out, and then you can yell at me on Twitter. Please yell at me on Twitter and let me know what your theories are, because it opens up a world of possibilities, especially if we talk about that ever pervasive Guardian War that lingers in the background that we still don't really know too much about yet.
Yeah,
or not
I want
Guardian
more
War, but the
lore.
Vault Hunter War, or whatever they want to call it. Yeah. So
game there's so much potential for it. I mean, it like the visuals and the sound and everything are so good. I just want more lore. That's my only real request. Definitely, I think people jumping into it will sort of have good feelings now for the health. Hopefully we'll have good feelings now for the health levels of everything. What about the mechanics of it, like the charging crystals and the low gravity and platforming elements, the jump pads? the final boss teleportation. Like, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I liked seeing where they were going with that. I feel like it's I don't. Well, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn. I almost feel like they're experimenting a bit with, how do we like that versus just crushing through, waves of challenging enemies and so on, like mixing it up a bit more with these control points and charging crystals and figuring that out as well, the platforming, invisible platforming and so on. And yeah, on top of it, having to float a little bit and be like, wait, it's not how I normally jump. So hold on. And I definitely had a number of moments where I was like, whoa, wait, because especially moving around as Zane, and it took some adjusting. But anyway, I'm a fan of taking those. I could go for more of it. In other words, like not only getting those control points, but I could go for a few more puzzles on top of it as a team. I'm definitely a fan of just raids and coming together as a team in more of a challenging section and then having to figure stuff out. We had a few things to figure out for sure with the bosses, but in other words, I like the direction they're going. I would like to see even more of that. How do you guys feel?
I love it. Like I said, I didn't like as much. Like, I like Molly One Takedown overall. I love the boss, even though I felt like I never got to really fight him as much because I was always like stuck on that bridge. But I liked the overall design of Molly One Takedown, but I like the overall design of this so much better because it's broken up. Like, it's not all one, just like shoot all the enemies in front of you, slog through it for however long it takes you, and then you have a cool boss. You know what I mean? By then I'm like tired. This gives you, it's like resetting your brain. There's like a section with crystals and they're really cool and you have to kind of manage them. And the way you jump from one to the other, especially in the later sections where you have like one that's on one floating island and one that's on another floating island and one on the main floating island. The first time I saw that, I was like, how am I going to do this by myself? I mostly played it solo. I've only played it solo, actually. And I just was like, okay, I'm just going to figure out my route. I killed all the enemies. I went and jumped from one to the other. I realized that you could just do the jump jets from one to the other. So once I knew where I had to go, it wasn't stressful anymore. And I just did it, and it was really fun. Like, I love that mechanic. And then you're done, and you get through a door, and there's like a whole different section. You get to just kill some enemies, and in this pretty like little sort of route, and then there's another thing that you have to do. I love that the scenery changes on route to the final boss so much. It's like a breath of fresh air. So I again, I haven't done it beyond Mayhem 4, but I'm excited to do it now beyond Mayhem 4. I'll probably try it still on Mayhem 6 first, and then maybe go to Mayhem 8, and then maybe go to Mayhem 10. Yeah. So
I mean, now that the health scaling's in, make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's so interesting coming together, talking about how we play. I like playing with other players, but you want to play with people you are familiar with and have time with, at least personally, versus I think just randomly hopping in with folks. But I do think it's important as well. There's so many solo players, and so takedowns represent an interesting challenge, right? Like, I love the ideas of working together as a team in a raid. Do think in Borderlands it's important that they make sure that they tune it and have a solo version that works just as well. And I know that is what they've been looking at. So I'll be very curious with these changes. I think it was predominantly the health and less so like charging up crystals.
Right.
It feels to me like that's least of an issue is, figuring the puzzles out as a solo versus just there was like high health bar enemies and a lot of them. But yeah, I think it's important they keep that in mind. Even though I do think Guardian Takedown, my guess is their ideal is you get together as a team. But it's a very heavy solo experience now. I know a lot of people just love playing solo.
Yeah, I think the thing about Borderlands is that, in my opinion, it should never move so far away from being Borderlands that the vast majority of the people that love it don't feel like it's the same game anymore. You know what I mean? Like, trying new things is awesome. Adding in puzzle elements, adding in like a complicated path to a boss and then another further complicated path to a boss, and these kind of like raid-like activities, I think is awesome. I think it's super, super, super awesome. But it should never, like, it shouldn't feel like any other game. Borderlands is completely its own thing. And like, yes, there's definitely people that play other games and Borderlands, but we don't want Borderlands to be those other games. If we did, we just go play the other games, right? We love Borderlands for being Borderlands. And to me, I feel like making sure that people can play it solo is hugely important because a ton of people play this game solo, a ton, more than you would even think.
Yeah.
And so like locking any activity behind like enforced multiplayer, I think would be a huge mistake. Not accommodating multiplayer would also be a huge mistake. I think the fact that they have managed to figure out, maybe with a hiccup or two with the health, but definitely they fixed that. And they're going to continue to iterate. They always listen. Like we literally just had this hotfix drop early in the week, not on their usual day. They're always trying to make sure that everybody's as happy as possible. So they, we'll see how it all plays out once we get our hands on the new health, on new mayhem levels, on the higher mayhem levels. But like I feel like they're really overall very good at still accommodating both the solo player and the group player. I think or the groups of players.
Yeah, and the reason I brought that up was because I mentioned the puzzles, and like it's some people don't want the puzzles because I think they think of like what if we all had to stand on those plates at the same time and press our buttons at the same times, and you could only do it as a team. That would be what's the word? Exclude solo players.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
I think that would be a huge mistake.
Right. But that was my point. I want to see more puzzles, but that doesn't mean I don't want them to work for both solo and teams. So something.
And it's hard to do that. Like it's definitely hard to make things that work for one person and 4 people or 3 or 2 or whatever. But I think they've done a good job of like walking that super fine line so far. And I'm excited to see what they do in the future. I definitely don't think that they should stop trying new things like this because they're cool, because they're definitely very, very cool and they're very, very fun. I do really wish as part of this let Borderlands be Borderlands sort of thought process of mine. And I've heard this from a lot of other creators, from a lot of community members across Reddit and Discord and all sorts of places, and Twitch, of course. It would be amazing. It would be amazing if there was a respawn point at the boss. Like, it shouldn't be possible for you to just launch the takedown and jump immediately to the boss. But maybe after you've launched the takedown and you've gotten to the first boss or you've gotten to the second boss, like you fought through the whole path there, if you die at the boss, you should be able to respawn at the boss. And this is something that I think the community really wants. And I think they hesitate to do that because they don't want people to ignore the route along the way. But having done the route along the way once, I feel like you earn that access to that boss, and then you should have it for the rest of that moment in time where you're doing that takedown. Let's say you go back to Sanctuary, you should have to fight through it again, right? But let's say you just die because you're like me and you wander off the edge of the world because you're a doofus. It'd be nice if you could respawn at the boss, just especially when people play together. Like that's actually one of the reasons I tend to play solo more often personally. Because if I die, I'm basically just sitting there staring at a screen for a while my friends struggle, That used to happen with Molly One Takedown all the time, and I'm just like, I can't do anything. I can't respawn.
Yeah.
And I think it is quintessentially a Borderlands thing to be able to just kind of park at a boss and farm that boss over and over and over again. And there is a part of me, like, I understand the thinking of not doing that. They've said this, that they want these takedowns to be more raid-like, they don't want to devalue the path to the boss. And I totally get that. But I also think that there has to be some kind of middle ground, or there could potentially be some kind of middle ground that makes the people that love essentially Borderlands, just like boss farms, more happy. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mitch, I don't know what your plans are. It seems like you're gonna say something before, but I'd love to talk about that topic. The rezzing, how difficult it is to stay alive, checkpoints. But
so
I don't want to go off on a tangent.
We're jumping all over the place, which is fine.
Just like in Guardian Takedown.
I get knocked all over the place. We'll get to that too.
We're booping all over the show.
We're the boopinist. That's an inside joke for like 5 people who enjoy Game Grumps out there, but that's okay. What I was going to say is I'm actually going to take the other side and just get a very quick comment in there, and then this is something I do want to revisit because this is actually a very fair conversation to have. And we had it very briefly when Borderlands 3 actually came out. I remember Tess and I talked about it a little bit at length back then, and it's coming up again, which is kind of funny actually that this is happening. And that basic conversation is this: Borderlands is a game that tries very hard to be all things to all people, and that's great. And as a game, you want to see it evolve. You want to see where they want to take the game in various directions. You want to see where a takedown can go. You want to see where solo play can go. And we talked a little bit about playing with your friends, going in there. And the most important thing that I think we can talk about right now, and I don't want to touch on it too much, but the social features in the game dictate how well multiplayer is going to be going forwards. And so when you have the ability to be able to easily jump in and grind things for hours with your friends and be able to go out and seek new people and enjoy the game with them, I think that informs leaning more towards the multiplayer aspects of the game that everybody can enjoy without having to worry about whether or not you're a solo player or not, because you'll still get a solo player experience. It's like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft, you get a solo player experience even when you're playing with other people, because you're still enjoying the game the way you want to play it. I can be in a dungeon and I can just be like, oh, la, 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 I'll go heal and whatever. Or I'll go do DPS and I know I'm just going to smack things around and I'll be done with this. And it doesn't really matter who's in my group because I'm just going to win. And as collective, we'll kind of win. But you can then also have that high-end takedown challenge where then you get to say, all right, cool. Now I might be able to pug this. Or if I get a bunch of my friends, I know we can definitely do this. And we just need to see how the social features evolve over the course of this game, and hopefully the next I'm crossing my fingers for those of you out there in Radioland, the next generation of Borderlands games looks towards facilitating that. My vision is it's not 4, they call it Border Worlds, and we like go real open world, like you can see other Guardians walking around and that kind of thing. But that's a whole other conversation for a whole other day.
That's a lot of speculation.
A lot of speculation.
It would be cool, but I don't want Borderlands to not feel like Borderlands. That's my one fear. Like, I really don't want Borderlands to ever not feel like Borderlands.
Right.
And I feel like leaving the solo player behind would do that. It would take away from that Borderlandsiness of it to a large degree, even if those social features were there. Like, I don't think that they shouldn't do that. I absolutely would love it if you could see your character in third person more often. I would love if on Sanctuary we could see more than just the 4 people in our group. We could just have like an actual maybe planet or something, or space station or something where like many of us could hang out. That would be really cool. I just don't want them to do content that completely excludes the solo player.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything. I think your point's valid, by the way, Mitsu. Like I have all those ideas too because I play all sorts of other games, and
of course I
think about that all the time. I mean, I've even been, when I first heard about Borderlands 3, I was like, oh, are they going to put a battle royale mode in there because it's perfect because it's got loot, and like you want it to be everything. But like I think Tess has said so well here is like you want it to remain Borderlands, and like first of all, how are you going to have like 20 Zanes walking around the same tower? So that's already a problem to solve. But you know what I mean?
Though you can always like make them look your own,
Yeah, and I think you could. But my point is, I think there's a lot to solve there. But ultimately, if you look at what they're doing, they always seem to have actually solo players in mind. They've been making sure to have solo modes on stuff, and so I think that's the good news. Is if anybody is getting scared out there, is like we're just speculating. But like I don't think that anything the team's been doing is forgetting about the solo player, and I think
I think they've done a great job so far. I think they've done an awesome job so far in terms of walking that line really well. Like I mean, you played pretty much exclusively with others. I played solo. I think Mitsu's done a little bit of both, and people I've talked to have done combinations of both. I've been watching. I watched Moxie do it. I watched K6 and Liz do it that first day, and variations thereof. And like it seems like it's hard regardless of whether or not you do it solo or with people, but it's doable regardless of whether or not you do it solo or with people, which is the ideal in my opinion. So and I like that they put in these puzzles so much. I like the platforms, although they are hard in your throat, definitely, at times. And at first, I was very confused by them because I too have played some other games, and I totally thought that when the platforms are invisible, they're not there anymore.
Gone. I thought that at first too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was so confused. Literally, there was like 10 minutes in chat or in my stream where chat was like, "Don't worry, just jump on it," and I was like, "But it's not there." I don't understand.
I mean, that's kind of how it would work in your real life brain as well. I mean, if you don't see it, you're like, it's probably not there. But some of that was the magic of when you finally were in the middle of a grapple, you know, and it disappeared, and you're like, "Oh." Okay. It's still actually here. I just can't see it.
Yeah,
but
you
I
can.
think that was supposed to be part of the surprise.
Yeah, and you can get through it, and like the platforms too. I think the issue, at least I'm guessing because I haven't played it at the higher levels yet, and I haven't played it with other people yet. But I'm guessing that the reason people were struggling so much with the crystals like decharging on them was because they were so overwhelmed with enemies and they couldn't cover all the crystals at once. Right. So for me, playing solo, I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to do that. But I realized that pretty much always, at least up until Mayhem 4, I could stay on one crystal, like whichever one I chose first, stay on that one, get it all the way charged up, and then I don't have to worry about that one anymore. And I could focus on jumping just between two of them. And then I had no problem. Like I would charge one most of the way up and then leave it, go to the other one, let that one finish charging, because that one for sure had enough, like the second one had for sure enough to survive my not worrying about it for a little bit. And then I would do that third one. And so like, it wasn't that bad. It was definitely a challenge, but it was very doable solo. So I want to see them do more stuff like this that's interesting and involves changes of pace en route to bosses. I do think that's really cool. But I also would love to see them add a respawn point at the boss, because I know so many players want that. I want that, even though I like the route to the boss. Yeah, I feel like that's a quintessential Borderlands thing, having like easy access to just fun bosses that you can smash your face against.
Yeah. Boss fights are some of the most fun. Totally. I was trying to restrain myself, but I got to go off a little bit on the Imitsu, but feel free to interrupt me if I need to be. But like the biggest thing for me with the takedowns, I really love the takedowns overall, but the penalty of death is a rough one for me. I have the most fun shooting the enemies, fighting the bosses. I don't think you absolutely should have to, earn your way to the bosses and stuff, like, of course, but that first checkpoint feels pretty far for me. I personally would love to see them explore just more checkpoints, period, especially, when you're a solo player. And I'm just curious what you guys think. Like, do you like the penalty of like when you're out, you're out if you don't make it to that checkpoint, right?
No, yeah. I think there should be more checkpoints.
Do you think it's too harsh? Yeah.
Yes.
The best way I explained, and I talked about it on stream earlier today too, is way back in the day, when games first came out, one of the ideas was kind of encouraging players to play very perfectly, and if it didn't, there were punishing situations that would happen. You had X amount of lives in Mario before you were done, and you could get one-ups, sure, but not everybody knew about it. And the idea was you weren't supposed to get like an infinite one-ups, even though those cheats exist. You were supposed to execute your jumps and get your mushrooms and use your fire flowers to the best of your ability to get to the end of the game. And so the design philosophy here was probably very similar to that. You are supposed to be able to make that run, not necessarily flawlessly, but you're not supposed to die, because if you die, dying is supposed to be punishing, where you get brought back. Now, I understand that philosophy completely. I get it. But a checkpoint or two mixed in there, especially before the boss, because I think K6 was on Twitter earlier today, and he said he was sliding down to Anathema. Anathema, for those of you who haven't actually played the Guardian Takedown yet, when you're sliding down, spoilers, if you can tune out for a couple seconds.
Minor.
Very minor. You slide down a waterfall to get to Anathema. Now, if it doesn't give you enough momentum, you might not even reach the platform while you're sliding down. You should hold forward either on control stick or hold W on your keyboard, so you just get enough momentum so that you're going to land, or just jump off of it. If you don't and you land in the water, you're going back.
Yeah, the
Going
first
all the
time
way up to
actually
the
I died was because of that. I didn't understand where I needed to slide to or where I needed to jump from because I saw the little the vending machines for ammo and I was sliding and I jumped to that because I was like, hey, I need ammo, right? And then from there I couldn't figure out where to go. I didn't realize that I could just jump down and keep sliding, and so I actually jumped off the wrong edge and died. And I was like, that's it? Oh no. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal because that part was interesting, like I said, but it just I definitely agree with you, Fran, that more checkpoints, more better. And like you should have to earn your way to the bosses at least once per spawn into that planet or area or zone or whatever. But then you should be able to stay at the boss
Yeah,
and
just put a checkpoint at the
yeah.
bosses. Yeah, why not?
And
Like
one thing that somebody mentioned in chat actually that I think is super great idea actually is have the checkpoints be the way they are now in true takedown mode, but in not true takedown mode, have more checkpoints, you know?
Right.
And I think they already do this, correct me if I'm wrong, but true takedown mode should have greater rewards also because it's a higher level of difficulty, right? They're trying to accommodate, at least in my mind, it seems like they're trying to accommodate both the super like amazing OP hardcore players like Lazy Data and Jolts Dude and some of those guys that are just so good at the game that this is an appropriate challenge for them, right? But for the rest of us sort of humans, it's a little bit much sometimes. And so I feel like, they already took the step of having a true takedown mode and having a non-true takedown mode. It would be really awesome if they gave the non-true true takedown mode more checkpoints. That'd be cool.
Yep.
So to bring it around a little bit, charging crystals, a lot of the new mechanics were really good. Obviously, the checkpoints we could talk about for a while. It's something we've brought up since Molly One Takedown too. The charging crystals, that was one that was done right because you charge it faster than it drains. So if you're rotating properly and you can recognize when the others are, they're always in eye line and you can see visually on a representation, you can see when it's going low. So you're like, all right, I got to get to that crystal now. I got to charge it up a little bit. Then I'll come back to this one. So that was done really well for solo players. I really appreciated that. The low gravity was nice to see returning again. I think Tess, especially, you were a big fan of that.
Yeah, definitely.
The use of jump pads during Anathema's fight was really, really cool. I'm glad that came back.
I did really like that.
Yeah. Even though...
Had me laughing.
I'm going to get some people in trouble here. And maybe some people will be listening and they'll recognize this. So if you're in the middle and Anathema is towards one of the jump pads that can launch you up, and you push him to phase when he gets invincible. He gets invincible, and then he does the big radiation bubble, and you have to jump to another one. The size of the bubble isn't large enough to encompass the entire middle pad.
Oh, you can stand on the edge?
You can stand on the far edge of it, push him to phase, and then take care of it. So people are going to get mad at me for actually like bringing this to attention. It's like, oh no, Mitsu's going to get, they're ruining the secret. But believe me, they were out there watching. It's going to happen anyway.
Does Anathema not move though still? Like that you have to chase?
He will not move from that platform if you don't move from that platform. So if you push him there, then you will notice the bubble will not be all encompassing. You could probably, if you do it right, just fight him there on that one platform.
You might get booped off though. As well.
Yeah, well, the platform is big enough where you might not even need to worry about that. And then added defense if you've got your Monarch out, because you just pull out the bipod and you're ready to go.
Hunker down.
Yeah, and you just hunker down. So one other thing I really liked, but I felt like it could have been used to do a little bit more lore, is the final boss teleporting you to different rooms. That was really cool. That's kind of like a new thing happening in Borderlands now, where the boss is just like, cool, I don't want to deal with you for a minute. I'm a heal. You deal with some of my minions for a while. and then like Nightcrawler bamps you out to somewhere else. So that was really cool. Yeah. So just to circle around on that, then, how did you guys feel about some of the new enemies? The schismatic diadems were the giant guardians with the red orbs on their head. How'd you feel about those?
Those confused the ever-loving butts out of me at first. I was like, why are you immune? I don't understand. And then I shot the red thing because I was like, big red thing,
red
probably. Yeah, and then it exploded in my face, and I was like, Oh my god, it was so awesome. I love that they stagger that final boss though. Like if you shoot them when they're next to him and then they stagger him and you can do extra damage in that phase, it's really nice.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, it was totally brilliant. And you can use them to kill other enemies next to them too. Or like what I'll tend to do because Amara is I'll phase grasp them and then I'll shoot that and it'll explode and it'll kill like everything around it. It's great. Great.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of enemy designs with, you know, just crit points like that, even though that was like a huge one at the top of their head. But any designs like that where you have to sort of target a spot. And I love that on bosses too. So those are actually my favorite enemies of them, but that they also have the penalty that, yeah, if they get too close, right, they will just blow up and damage you. Mm-hmm. So you do have to be careful on how you approach them. So those are probably my favorite of the types.
Yeah. They're big and they're flashy. I love the way that they look. The interactivity with the main boss, like the full last boss, was super cool. I really, really enjoyed that. It reminded me a little bit of G. Having enemies that you can kill interact with the boss in meaningful ways. That remind a lot of things kind of remind me of G. That's Borderlands 2 history, but that was really cool. Reaper, the Reaper enemies jumping at you kind of like a little bit stealth from the shadows. They kind of also mark you for death in a way too.
And are those the ones that were booping you?
Those were one of the ones, the fast moving ones. I can't remember what they're called, but there's these fast moving guardians with just claws on their hands, but they don't mark you. There's two specific big ones that come at you every now and again. And when they're after you, like the screen turns like super wobbly at the edges and like gray and black. And those were really cool. I really appreciated those enemies as well.
Yeah.
So I was trying to. Oh, go ahead.
I'm not sure which enemy it is, but there's one that literally just like flies across the map when you're doing crystals. Like it spawns out of those portals, and then all of a sudden it's just like hi, wah, and it's like
that's
in
the
your
one
face.
I was talking about.
Yeah. Those freak me out a little bit, but they are better, in my opinion, than the dogs, the like robo dogs on Molly One Takedown. I hate those things. Maybe because I've been chased by a dog in real life, and so it's like too real for me.
Real life trauma.
Yeah. The guardian enemies that do that, I can handle better. It's especially satisfying if I have the ability to phase grasp and I can like boop them out of the air, like grab them as they're flying towards me. That's hard to do. It's hard to do because they're moving so fast. But occasionally it's doable. But yeah, those enemies can definitely boop. One thing Mitsu said earlier that I totally had no idea about is if you're moving very fast, they can boop you further, which is, I had no idea. My Amara, I built more towards like Lazy's Hellzerker build that we talked about recently. And she's not super speedy. Like she's speedy, but she's definitely not crazy speedy. I'm not all about the speed. And that build has been working really well for me. And so it didn't occur to me that the lack of speed was what was saving me, but I guess it was because everybody kept talking about the booping, and I was like, doesn't seem that bad to me.
Yeah, it was a huge problem for me. Yeah. That now I didn't know that until you brought it up, Mitsu. That explains it. That if there was like some reverse, kinetics there, that was sort of almost causing a bigger problem by moving around. Yeah. And having that speed ability, period. Yeah, like I try to run away from them constantly, only making it worse. So I'll have to try this strat of like, whoa, don't go anywhere.
The other way you can kind of test it a little bit is build your Zane speed up real quick as Scourge is about to teleport you, and this is what the kids call yeeting, I'm told. What happens is as you get teleported, you will maintain, it's like Portal, you will maintain your momentum when you get thrown. And so I believe it was Killer 6 actually very recently is a victim of this. I was also a victim of this very recently. I want to say over the weekend while I was doing some dry test runs on Mayhem Zero just to build up a little knowledge of the game. When he teleports you, your body just gets flung directly off of it and you will die because you will go into an area. I think Killer 6 got yeeted into an area where there wasn't even a kill box. He just fell and kept falling until the ground just turned black And then I think he just kind of wandered around for a while before eventually I think he had to like kill himself in order to get back. Yeah, he just like flew completely out of bounds. If we were playing hide and seek, he would have won because nobody would have been able to find him ever.
God.
Yeah.
Definitely good to know.
Yeah.
You got to watch out for those yeeting strategies in the new Takedown.
That's the
I
way
love
to win.
how this game is constantly like challenging us to evolve our play styles and our weapons that we use and everything. Like it, I like how there's been so many different changes and so many different activities that make me want to like tweak things and change things up a little bit and try something different. Sometimes those things work, sometimes not so much. I don't know. I think it's neat. I definitely think it's neat.
Anathema in general was just a really well-designed boss fight until I figured out a couple of ways to like cheese around it a little bit. I appreciated the fact that they made it so that you were constantly in motion. You damaged him, invincible part. Now you have to move to a different segment. You have to keep moving around. It reminded me of World of Warcraft again, Alakir boss fight where you're constant, like you do some damage to him, then he phases, and you got to move around to a different area, and you get like launched around via wind. That was a really cool fight too. So it's good to see that kind of implemented in this. I really love that design direction. So how did you guys like Anathema?
I loved him. I thought he was so cool. The first time I went in there, I think I beat him on the first try, but I didn't really understand how I managed to do it. I think I only did it because I was using the double downer shield. So like that double downer shield has saved me so many times. I did switch to Transformer for the end boss, but for Anathema, I think double downer really served me well because I couldn't avoid the bubble because I didn't know where to go because he kept following me. So like I avoided it a few times, but I wasn't quite quick enough or was just too confused about what was going on. And so I just let it kill me or down me. But I get 25% extra damage when I'm downed, and my time down is like doubled. Plus I have some other stuff that boosts it. So it's really long. So I actually did more damage to him and used it to kill him faster with that. So that helped me a lot that first time through. I've realized that that's basically what I have to do once I get down to his shield health bar. You can avoid him. Like you can definitely do some tricks like staying on the bottom, on the center platform and being on one edge while he's on the other edge. But for me, it's easier to just like run away from him. So shoot him until he's immune and then jump to the next platform, and then he'll show up, shoot him some more, jump to the next platform until I get him to that shield health bar. When it's just his shield health bar, it's basically every platform except one. Sometimes you can figure out which one it is and go to that and save yourself. But sometimes you end up fight for your life in the middle of a jump and then you're dead. So safer to just fight for your life and stay put and then use it, at least for me, if you have that double downer shield that you get from doing the Handsome Jackpot first DLC. If you completed that, you can find the quest after completing the rest, the like main story of the DLC, by Timothy's little hideaway from Double Downer. Yeah, that's what it's called.
I forget her name exactly, but she is most famous for saying, "I'm doubling down."
Yeah. It's such a good
that is
deal.
a very fun quest. That is a very, very fun quest.
Yeah, it's a good quest and it's a really good item.
Scourge. Scourge is a boss that exists in this game, and I thought it was so cool. Well executed. Oh my goodness. This is invulnerability phases done right. Yes, there is an invulnerability phase. Can you knock him out of it? Absolutely. Is it a very difficult thing to do? Not terribly, unless you have a Zane clone out. They seem to be inexplicably drawn to Zane clones.
Oh, really?
Like over anything. I don't know if you've seen it, but wherever I put my Zane clone, even if he's up on the ledge, they'll just walk towards him and then try and kill themselves by accident. And then I have to deal with waiting to actually get him out of the phase because you have to hide and wait for the whole thing to go off. They give you a generous amount of time to be able to actually stagger him once everything's done. So yeah, what do you guys think?
I think that's good though. It was a cool fight, like you said, getting spawned into another room, having that moment of surprise was really cool because the arena was already cool, but then you get spawned somewhere they're like, what is going on? Wait, and having to go back and forth there. Plus, like you said, the ability to actually blow up those crystal heads or whatever they were called again. Are they rates? What are they again? I forget their name.
Schismatic Diadems is their official name, apparently.
Right. I should have. That's that.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Flows off the tongue.
I should have remembered actually, But yeah, I feel like it's got all the right mechanics. It's a fun fight.
Yeah, I love that final boss fight. It's very cool. I feel like I'm cheating with the Transformer shield because he does that like lightning attack and it just fills my shields and I'm like, thanks, buddy. It's so nice. But yeah, definitely discovering and that was something that I realized just by happening to shoot one of those schismatic diadems while they happened to be
Nice.
standing next to him. Yeah, so I did it and then he staggered and I was like, whoa, that's awesome. And then I always kept trying to make it happen from then on. But yeah, that was he's just a cool boss.
Yeah.
And then that moment where you're able to jump back to his arena from that other world, which is beautiful. When you jump back and you realize you have to run to him and you have to like punch the crystal. And then I like every single time I've never made it yet. I don't know if it's possible to make it, but I tried to run to the other crystal to see if I could punch it so that he doesn't have that phase later on, and he like yeets you or something, like he pulls you down from that platform towards him immediately so you can't get it. Whatever mechanic that is, it's cool. I'm like, damn it.
Scorpion
But
chain.
it's awesome.
He can grab you. Yeah.
It's neat.
Because he has a lot of melee abilities, so that's kind of cool that they just threw that in there. Upon killing him, have you either of you gotten any of the new items yet?
I did. What did I get again? Give me a second. I was looking at the list here again, trying to remember which one I got. I think I got Asclepius, yeah.
Did you?
But I haven't got to test it yet. I'm pretty sure I got it. That's with the 50% elemental resist when depleted, I guess.
Yes.
So that wasn't from Scorch. I think that's the only thing I got so far. What about you guys?
Oh wow, I've gotten a couple of Globetrotters and a Smog, and I think I have a Web Slinger. The Web Slinger I haven't used yet. I just got it. The Smog also, I just got it in that last run that I did yesterday. I've gotten a couple of Globetrotters. I got kind of really excited when I first got a Globetrotter because I was like, this looks like a yellow cake, but with ice. And because mine was an ice one. And I really, really liked the look of it. And I tried using it, and I definitely don't understand the range very well yet that it's effective at, because sometimes it does a lot of damage, and other times it's like not a lot of damage. And I think it's the range. I think I just need to figure out where that happy spot is with that particular gun. I've heard really good things about the Smog. When I got it, my entire chat was like, "Oh my god, the Smog is so good!" And then I didn't get a chance to try it, so I'm excited to check it out. Probably either later today or tomorrow.
The Smog, for those of you listening at home, is a Hyperion submachine gun with amplified damage under a certain condition where the weapon shield is active and at maximum capacity. And what I actually found out earlier today, Grant Cow actually tweeted it out. If you get a kill with the Smog, its shield goes back immediately to full on kill. So if you're just constantly chaining that and making sure you're keeping it alive, you're getting that additional damage on top of it. I think that's why everybody's losing their mind about the Smog, because if you're either not the focus of damage right now, or you're able to just chain your kills efficiently enough, you're keeping your damage very high. It almost sounds like a bee in a way, just because of the amount of damage that it can actually do. A couple other ones of note, the Web Slinger, I think we talked about it very briefly. Apparently, allegedly, supposedly, according to chat, you can use it to climb walls, which is crazy. That would be really cool. Yeah. The Stinger is a pangolin shield that, while full, increases your melee damage by 50%. So it is a reverse Roid shield, which I don't know how that's going to work, but okay. And then the Light Speed is a mod for your grenades that is a combination of the Fastball and the Nagata. So it is a longbow grenade, so it teleports to its target, and then it hits for massive damage. So that one's a really cool one as well. I like that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I think it was the last show with Grant and
Graham.
Oh, last week? Yeah, Grant and Graham, yes.
But they had talked about how, SMGs are in that really like sweet spot. So I think you're seeing some of the results of that with the Smog, especially, like probably being one of the better drops. It's just some of the new tuning that they've, I think, thought about. And yeah, I'm excited to get that one. So that's why, yeah, with the new tuning already out, with the mayhem changes, excited to get in there and start being able to grind now.
Yeah, and I think overall, especially with the news that literally just broke at the top of the show, there's so much to look forward to now. Hopefully everybody can get out there and farm a little bit more. Some of the concerns that we had, the health scaling, hopefully that'll be a thing. We don't know about respawn issues. That could go back and forth. That could be a subject of debate for some time. One issue that I saw a little bit was some people were having a couple issues with mantling. I hope that maybe we can catch those in support.2k.com. If you ever have any issues, report it to them, support.2k.com, so that you can let them know. Because, for example, if people feel like mantling is off, that's a big deal when you die and you have to respawn all the way back. That's kind of a big deal. Besides all the stuff that we touched on, were there any other highlights, lowlights that you guys wanted to talk about a little bit? Because it's, there's so much to this takedown. It feels small, but it's actually a lot larger than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, it was mostly the commentary on the and it's an overall takedown topic. But what could we do with checkpoints? What could we do with group? Maybe resurrection, tokens of some kind, or how do you balance the solo versus group play? So I'd love for 2K to at least maybe talk about it, maybe on a future show, Bordercast or the official Borderlands show. But outside of that, for me, I don't know if we have much time, but I think the edges, there's so many edges in this. Your booping tips, I need to go like under review. Let me rethink and play now, and maybe not worry as much about how much enemies are going to be out there too, because there should be fewer enemies on the screen, given that you'll be able to take them down faster. But I did feel like I was falling off the ledge a lot too, and so it all kind of plays together. So I love the location, I love the new enemies, but I'm kind of I don't want to fall off all the time or be terrified of like, whoops, and then I got to start all over. So I think for me, that's to be continued still. I got to get in there and see how some experience treats me.
I do believe my wife agrees with you on that.
I'm super excited to try it now with the lower health. We'll see. I mean, it felt pretty good at Mayhem 1, at Mayhem 4. Definitely still a challenge, but it felt pretty good. I'm really curious to see what Mayhem 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are going to feel like now.
Yeah. So I think going forward, it's going to be a very interesting ride. We're still halfway in an entire restructuring of how damage is going to be meted out in the game, because we still have phase 2. So even if these nerfs might not necessarily feel like they're going far enough, whatever the percentage may be, I think it's worth making sure that everybody is aware that these are being done with next week's changes in mind as well. Because next week the DLC 3 launches, Bounty of Blood, and phase 2 is being put into play, which means that pets are probably going to get looked at again. I believe that was in the blog post, as well as taking a harder look at making the talent trees feel more rewarding. And that probably means that some things will be getting enhancements in their percentages. Maybe a few talents are going to gain a new talent or two, or a new percentage point or two that will be able to be enhanced via taking those. So I would say that if it's not enough, give it another week. I think 30% is probably good right now, because some people have figured out some nice cool areas, but we'll see where it goes. So we've got a lot to look forward to. And just before we wrap up, real quick, there was a quick scientific update to Borderlands Science. Not an update to it itself, but just kind of a blog post from DNA Puzzles, letting us know exactly what's going to be happening with Borderlands Science. Tess, just tell the people about what's going on with it.
So quantifying the magnitude of the improvements made by individual players on single puzzles, and providing a better picture on what humans are good at. Interesting. So, I mean, the way the Borderlands Science works is basically, as we solve puzzles, we're teaching the computer different ways to solve puzzles that it doesn't really know. That's the gist of it, right? So how can we make the computer better at doing this? Teach it how we humans do it. And so that process is getting better. An assembly of current individual solutions to build a complete mapping of the full microbial DNA dataset, followed by a comparison of the mapping to solutions returned by computer programs. So that kind of sounds like they're going to compare solutions made by computer and solutions made by human and see how much better the computer has gotten. Finally, based on the solutions collected, a building of a brand new set of puzzles. These puzzles will be more challenging with an even greater potential to improve the analysis of the microbiome samples, which is so cool. You guys know, if you watch my stream on the official channel or on my channel, because I stream Borderlands kind of a lot, I play Borderlands Science all the time. It's so chill and fun, and I wish it was a phone game so much. Please make it a phone game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've heard you guys talk about that. I think it's a great idea.
It would be so great, right?
Game even. Yeah.
I would play it all the time. It would be dangerous. But anyway, I play it all the time within Borderlands, and the boosters that you get are very helpful. Actually, I will say, when I did when I did Guardian Takedown on Mayhem 4, I was using the plus 10% damage booster that I got from playing Borderlands Science. And you're helping actual scientific discovery, which is so cool. But also the puzzles are interesting and fun and challenging. And also chill. So like if you're, if you've been shooting things and taking out your frustration and just like de-stressing by, doing crazy combat for a while, and you just kind of want some zen, Borderlands Science is a great thing to do for a little bit, just to chill. It's
That's
really
right.
cool.
You can add to your resume that you're a DNA scientist as a result.
Yeah,
That's
why we do it,
man.
Yes.
In chat right now.
Definitely.
Very, very good.
I just love that they're adding more puzzles. That's really cool.
Yeah. When I read that, I knew this had to be in today's run of show, because that was super cool to notice, because I know how many people out there really enjoy doing it. It's a big deal. It's a super, super big deal. I think with that, we're probably about ready to start wrapping up. I just want to take a time to remind everybody, first of all, Borderlands Legendary Collection is out right now. Nintendo Switch, we talked about it quite a bit. And Guardian Takedown is out right now for all the players to enjoy. That's you listening right now, you watching right now, and we thank you for doing so. With the new hotfix applied, which we don't have this week, but, imagine the little graphic and the sound effect there. Because apparently the health scaling is now in there. And of course, Fran Mirabella III, thank you so much for joining us today, my friend. I appreciate you being here. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, of course, first shout out. Be sure to keep an eye on the official YouTube channel and here on Twitch. But we do the official Borderlands show occasionally. Shout out to Greg Miller as well, my co-host. So you can find me there on the official Borderlands show, but also right here on Twitch all the time, streaming FM3 _. I still got the underscore. Those are my initials, by the way. And you've been saying Fran Mirabella III. That's how important. I keep it in my initials. So FM3 _.
It's right up there.
Yes.
It'll also be in the description if you are listening via any of the audio platforms. It will be in the description for you guys.
Thank you.
Indeed. Tess, where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/Tessichka or Tess Games on Twitter is totally cool. I'm on the Borderlands channel streaming Borderlands every Monday and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and on my own channel kind of mornings, evenings, all the time, randomly.
And then, of course, for me, twitch.tv/Mitsu, MITSU. You can always check me out on the Borderlands channel, which I'm doing that Mondays and Tuesdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. to 1. No, what's time zones? 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific. There we go. I got through that one. And of course, I do my best work on Twitter, twitter.com/Mitsu Show, MITSUSHOW. That's it.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're doing it via Twitch or YouTube or Facebook or Steam, or listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch so you get notifications when we're live. We are here for Bordercast every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday. We're available on Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Music, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn. I always forget one. I might have actually.
You said Spotify.
I did. I might have actually gotten them all this time. You guys. Yeah, we're available on all the platforms, so definitely feel free to listen anytime at your own leisure. Thank you, you guys.
And on behalf of Tess, myself, Fran, and the entire stream team, everybody at 2K, Gearbox, and everywhere involved in the process, thank you so much for joining us, as you do every single week. Now go forth and make some mayhem.